Okay, in this opening clip, this is about a driving instructor, not the learner, the driving instructor. Missing an opportunity in my view. Just as we're coming around this bend here, we've got a line of cars on the right hand side and a learner coming the other way. And the instructor would have seen this by now. He could have sort of taught his learner somewhere different than this. But as we make progress, you'll see that we now have to slow down and stop. There's even a gap between those cars. But the instructor goes past that and carries on going. Not that that was a problem at all, but when you're teaching somebody to drive, you've got to teach them sometimes that when you don't have the priority, you have to look for gaps to move in, slow down, control the car, etc. And I think the instructor there missed a good, valuable opportunity, but sometimes that happens. Okay, what we're looking at here is the Audi. Yes, I'm sorry to say it's another Audi. It's looking to change lanes and go left a bit further up. It's in the wrong lane on approach as it goes over the lights. And this is something we've got to watch out for. People change lanes quite quickly, going in a completely different direction than the lane that they were actually in. That was some pretty poor driving, but fortunately it didn't cause us too much of an issue. Just things we've got to be on the watch out for. Well, this is an interesting little clip. We just got around a corner only to find a trading lorry parked on the road. I presume was doing some sort of delivery. But in the process, he actually stopped right next to the parked car, which meant nobody could actually get through. And I suppose unless you was a motorcyclist or a cyclist or a pedestrian, but certainly not a car or anything of that size. So we waited for this lorry driver to come back, and the key thing is when he eventually did come back, and there he is, did he acknowledge it? Did he put his hand up and say, look, sorry for that, I'll move out of the way? Not a thing. Total arrogance as far as I'm concerned there from him, and then he moves away and clears the road. But he could have at least just maybe even possibly just said sorry for holding you up for parking and stopping in a totally inappropriate place. We saw the learner opposite there waiting to go. We thought we'd wait behind because the car's parked on our side. It was just probably the nice thing to do. Let them go before we then make our way and move on ourselves. So held up there unnecessarily by what I believe unprofessional HGV driver who probably could have done a bit better there. Interesting little clip this. We need to have our wits about us. We're coming up to a roundabout and the car behind wants to get past us. It's going in the same direction as us. Doesn't necessarily do too much wrong, but it's how he goes about it, which is not really a good idea. The road now splits into two, both going to the right. You'll see by the arrows on the road, so no problem. But he decides then to move over to the right of the lane like that and then actually overtake us on a roundabout as he's actually going the same direction. We're not really holding him up. We're not going too slow. We're moving at the right pace, but just for some people it's just not quick enough, and that is an awkward little maneuver. This clip here is about a cabbie, black cab, that's going to pass us shortly just as the two cars coming in the opposite direction are passing. The road narrows quite a bit. Now you think the cabbie, being a professional driver, would tag that on board, but just look how close that is. Very, very close. The camera doesn't really do it justice. And even as he passed the BMW coming the other way, I think that was an unprofessional maneuver by a so-called professional driver. Now this clip here basically is when people are not really paying attention to what's going on further down the road. You see as we go into this road, there's a lot of parked cars on the right hand side as you see it, and cars are sort of making their way through and trying to find spots to pull in on their left. But some cars are not looking far enough ahead, and when it all comes to a grinding halt because of the red lights, they suddenly think, oh dear, and I'm in the way, nothing's moving, so we have to do something about it. And appreciation to the van there, he does actually make a really decent attempt to get out of the way. So, you know, I don't hold anything against that fella at all. He probably just misread the road, but it just goes to show it helps if you just plan ahead. And talking about planning ahead, it also means when you plan ahead coming up to a crossroads or a junction, you should be slowing right down and paying attention to the left and the right. Unlike this blue car coming out from the left, pulls right into the road, nearly has a bang with the BMW, who you can see is not very impressed at all with that manoeuvre. He does move back out of the way, but one does question what the hell was he thinking of on the approach down there. Did he not see the crossroads at all? Was he on the phone? Was he doing something else? Indecisive drivers. This Mercedes sort of comes from his right hand lane into the left. Couldn't make out wanted to pass us or not. He was a little unsure, but we had our beady eye on this particular driver. Now he's holding a nice decent distance, as he should, but I can't help but think that maybe he's otherwise distracted in the car, because he starts to close a little bit, and then before long he suddenly decided, no, I do want to pass the learner and get past. So don't know what he was doing there, don't know why he moved back and why he just far past us in the first instance. And there he is passing us on this dual carriageway. We're not really holding him up, as I said. The car in front of him is looking to pass. I believe that's a learner in front, but he's not waiting for that either. He goes back on the inside. I think he was probably thinking of hopefully past that and undertaking, but that didn't sort of work out. The guy's definitely impatient, and he likes to bend the rules a wee bit, which is not useful to other road users, because you don't quite know what they're going to do. So what he does now is he indicates there's a little slip road on the left. It's not meant for driving down other than possibly visiting the shops, but he's got another purpose for it. As we proceed, and you can see him driving down there, we're coming up to a set of traffic lights, and if you keep an eye on him in question, he's only using that slip road basically to access the left on this crossroads, and he just couldn't be bothered to wait for it. A lot of effort really for not a lot, but if everybody started driving like that, woo. Okay, in this road here, look at the road markings. Left straight on, right to go right. It's pretty self-explanatory, and there they are again, in case you missed them the first time around. And the vehicle we're actually looking at ahead is obviously in our lane. It's the maintenance vehicle, these little stripes on. Who should know better? He's in the lane to go right, but let's be honest, we know what he's going to do, don't we? I'm just going to speed it up here briefly so not to bore, and then we'll see as the lights change. There we go. Watching him carefully, and he quickly moves over. I didn't see an indication there, which made it even worse than actually just moving over anyway. Now this is something that's becoming more commonplace. We're coming up to a roundabout, and it's the white car behind us. We're taking the second exit off here, so we're in the left hand lane as we enter the roundabout. But what does the white car do? It then moves right to the inner part of the roundabout. For what purpose? Well, it was to try and pass us. It's not like we were holding them up or going too slow. We're going at the appropriate speed for the appropriate manoeuvre. But this is becoming more common practice, and my learners seem to have to look out for this more and more to avoid any type of incident. Okay, this one's about the silver learner behind us. It just goes to show us not only us that gets picked on when people are driving down the road. This learner, as he passes us, he's got this black car following him who has absolutely no intentions of staying where they are. The learner car's making progress, but you see how he stays in the middle of the road. He's got no intention of staying there. He's got to overtake, just can't be behind the learner whatsoever, even if they are making decent progress down the road. And as you can see, they go straight on up there as the learner actually bears round to the right. Okay, and this clip here is about a couple of pedestrians actually who don't want to use the appropriate way of crossing the road. Now, we're not at a junction, we're just up to red lights. Now, it's not the two coming from the right. There's not too much of a problem there. The light changes green shortly, and the pedestrian in question comes from the left. And there's the green, we're getting it gear, we're just about to set off, and then all of a sudden someone does this, puts their hand out and says, you stay where you are, even though it's a green light and we're told to move, and they then run across the road. I'm not too sure what was wrong with the crossing ahead. They could have possibly used that, it certainly would have been safer. Okay, this clip here is about the Sainsbury driver behind us. Impatience to say the least, and he goes on and he passes us, as you'll see in just a second. There you go. So you might say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, if I show you the front view, you'll see what the problem with that is. It's totally and utterly dangerous and madness, and I'm sure Sainsbury's wouldn't be too impressed if they saw that's what their delivery drivers do. Here we come up to a set of work lights. It's green at the moment. There it is changing to red. and we're slowing down to stop at this point here. It's completely red, and there he goes, straight through a red light. Really poor indeed. I'm not sure in Sainsbury's we're too impressed with their driver there at all. Okay, we're looking at this car here, approaching an amber light. It changes to red. Did he have time to stop? Yeah, easy really, but not bothered. It's red and he just goes straight through. We're seeing this all too common these days, but sometimes you've got to be cautious yourself, or you could actually get caught out by other people's driving. Okay, this clip here is the final clip, and it's about the car in front. When you're driving, you've got to pay attention, obviously, to what other people are doing on the road. Look for any erratic behaviour, because it may end up involving you. Now, as we're going down the road here, he's not doing the speed limit. He's going quite slow. So we back off a wee bit. We keep a decent distance, and he's just sort of starts straddling the white line on the left. He's not keeping nice and central. And then he brakes. Well, I don't know. He seems to brake for no reason. Maybe he thought about turning left there, but it was way too late. So he's been indecisive. The driver's been indecisive. So we hang back at the particular stage. He could be having a problem with his car. Who knows? But the key thing is to pay attention and hang back and see what develops, if anything at all. These situations are quite common. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate. Please subscribe and like. I look forward to seeing you again. Take care of yourself. Drive safely. Bye bye for now.